Dolph Lundgren became a huge star as Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, the mean, cold fighter who looked so tough on the screen. But hiding behind that fame were five guys who made him so mad he promised he would never work with them again. Even now, at 68, he told everyone that these guys were once his friends and co-stars until they suddenly showed how truly mean they were. They kept trying to fight him in famous places like Cannes. They cut him out of the movie's final scenes, and they were very rude to him in front of everyone. And when you hear the names of these five guys, you will be so surprised because they are some of the biggest movie stars in all of Hollywood. Jean-Claude Van Damme is the most famous name on Dolph's list of people he doesn't like. The very first name on Dolph Lundgren's list of people he really hates is also the one that everyone knows best. Jean-Claude Van Damme, the man whose fight with Dolph became a famous story long before either of them told anyone it was true. And if you think this fight was just two action heroes who didn't like each other, get ready to hear how mean and super ugly it became when the cameras were off. It all started when they filmed Universal Soldier way back in 1992. The people making the movie thought putting the famous Belgian star with the big Swedish star would make tons of money at the movie theater. But the people working on the movie quickly realized they were basically acting like babysitters for two huge thunderstorms waiting to crash. Lundgren came to the movie set like a good student, clothes ready, words memorized, everything neat and tidy. Van Damme, though, walked in acting like the movie set belonged only to him. He changed parts of the scenes on his own, asked for them to film the same thing again and again just so he could show off another cool, high kick, and kept asking for the bright lights to be moved so he looked more like a hero. One person working on the movie told a newspaper in France years later, "Every day felt like watching two lions just staring at each other across a big, empty field." And then came the very famous event at the Cannes Film Festival. That was the moment that meant they would always hate each other. Right in front of a huge group of news reporters, Van Damme walked right up to Dolph and said something no one expected to hear. He told him to come outside right now and finish their fight. Fans watching thought it was just acting. It was absolutely not acting. Dolph later quietly admitted to a newspaper in Sweden, "If I had said yes, it would not have ended well for anyone who was there." That line became famous because decades later, during the movie The Expendables 2, everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. The feeling of being angry was still strong and buzzing. Van Damme kept trying to change the movie's plans. Dolph just totally pretended he wasn't there. They filmed their movie scenes together, but they never had a single normal, friendly chat. Not even one little word. And here is the surprising part people never hear about this fight. When someone asked him in 2018 if he would ever make a movie with Van Damme again, Dolph didn't stop to think. He simply said, "Why would I? What is left that I need to prove to him?" And that is the reason why their fight never got better. Because neither of the two men ever said sorry or tried to make things right. Steven Seagal, the big head fight on the movie set, Dolph walked away from that one. If you thought the first fight was super crazy, hold on until you hear the second name on Dolph's list of people he won't work with, Steven Seagal. People always make jokes about how much Seagal loves himself, but Dolph didn't laugh about it. He had to live through the bad experience. And the very first time they met, Dolph walked out of the room thinking, "I can't believe that this guy is a real person." It happened during a quiet meeting to talk about making a possible new action movie. Everyone thought it would be a normal meeting where they read the script. Siegel came in wearing dark sunglasses, had a big security guard, and had the kind of attitude you would get from someone who thinks he totally invented all of martial arts. Before anyone could even sit down on a chair, he looked directly at Dolph and said, "You should know that I am the best fighter in this entire room." That was the very first thing he said. Dolph wasn't angry at all. He was just confused about the comment. Then Siegel said another funny thing right after that. "I don't ever get hit when we film the movie scenes." Right then, Dolph knew exactly what kind of trouble they were going to have. As the meeting kept going, Siegel kept saying that he was some kind of super amazing hero. He wanted the movie script totally rewritten so his character never had a hard time, never had any blood on him, and never, ever lost a fight. The movie makers tried to be polite and nice, but Dolph could feel how embarrassed everyo. Knee in the room was feeling. One of the producers even whispered, "He wants to be able to stop bullets." And the stories about him did not stop there. People who did the dangerous stunts warned Dolph that Siegel liked to show off fighting moves that actually hurt people. One guy who did stunts showed up the very next day with a sore and swollen wrist and said that Siegel told him it helps you become a better person. Dolph never forgot that bad story. Years later, he put all his feelings into one very simple sentence. Doing what you are supposed to do makes me feel good. Just pretending to be tough doesn't impress me. That wasn't being mean. That was just telling the honest truth. After that first meeting they had, Dolph told his team that he would quit the movie right away the second Siegel's name was brought up. Movie studios tried to put them together in movies many times. Dolph said no to every chance. This bad feeling finished before it even really started. Mickey Rourke. The mean thing he said that turned respect into being enemies. What would you think if Mickey Rourke, a guy you had always looked up to, turned to Dolph Lundgren during a script reading and said, "You are just the muscle, I am the smart one"? That single line is the moment their friendship broke completely in half. Their big fight didn't come from one single big noisy moment, but from a whole bunch of very annoying things that happened when they filmed their action movie in the early 2000s. This was a movie filmed in a country in Europe during a very cold winter time. And the people who worked on the movie still talk about how Mickey's strange behavior messed up entire days of filming. Here is what actually went down while they were filming the movie. Mickey came onto the movie set with pages and pages of things he had written out by hand. He kept insisting on putting these into the scenes, and they were not small changes. They were full paragraphs about sad childhoods, memories from a war called Vietnam, feelings of being guilty and God. None of these things were in the original script. The other actors would just freeze up because they didn't know how to reply to him. Dolph's scenes became very hard to guess because Mickey kept changing the whole mood of the scene every single time the camera was turned on. One night, they were supposed to film a serious fight scene between the two men at 10 o'clock at night. Mickey didn't show up until 1:47 in the morning, walking in with a big cigar in his mouth and saying, "I needed to walk around the city so I could feel what my character was feeling." The whole film crew had been standing around waiting for him. Dolph had been standing on the set totally in his costume for almost 3 hours already. That was the night that Dolph finally got really mad and told the assistant director, "If he leaves the set again, just start shooting the scene without him." 1 week later, the worst thing of all happened between them. During a practice time for where the actors should stand, Mickey pushed the script helper away and shouted, "Do not tell me how I should feel in this scene. I will feel it when the feeling hits me at the right time." Then he looked at Dolph, made a little mean smile, and said again, "Some guys act by just doing what feels right. Other guys only know how to show off their big muscles." That was the line that sealed their bad relationship. It was not just teasing or a joke, it was full-on making fun of him. After the movie was all done filming, Mickey said he would not join the trip to tell everyone about the movie, leaving Dolph to answer all the questions about Mickey all by himself. And Mickey never said sorry, never called Dolph, and never said anything about the bad feelings between them. However, Dolph never actually said he hated Mickey Rourke. He just said, "We are not going to work together on the same movie set ever again." Tom Berenger, the actor who went too far. Dolph never forgave him for that mistake. Tom Berenger is the fourth guy on Dolph Lundgren's list of people he won't work with, and the reason why is not because of mean words or who thought they were better. It was something much colder than that. He tried to get rid of Dolph from the movie that they were making together. Their problem started in 2002 on a war action movie that was filmed in a country called Slovakia. The time they had to film was very short, the money for the movie was small, and Dolph went in thinking it would be a movie with everyone working hard and following the rules. Berenger came in acting like the whole movie had to be only about him. Within the very first week, he started coming to the set with pages that he had rewritten, and they all just happened to make his speeches longer and cut down on the things that Dolph's character had to say. The director tried to keep the peace between them, but the crew members noticed exactly what was going on. Every single day, Berenger pushed to change T. He seen so that all the important and emotional failings fell only on him. Dolph kept his mouth shut until the night they were filming inside an old, empty factory that used to make steel. The scene was very simple, a quick, short argument, but Berenger refused to film it unless he gave a long moment where he figured things out that he had written all by himself. His speech that he made up went on for almost 2 whole minutes, and it totally ruined the serious mood that the script needed to have. Dolph finally walked forward, looked at the director, and said, "He is stealing our movie from us." Berenger didn't even try to argue back. He just walked right back to his trailer, and the entire film crew stood there frozen and confused. The worst bad thing happened later on. While they were putting the movie together after filming, an editor quietly told Dolph's team that Berenger had asked for several of Dolph's mid-range shots to be taken out, asked for the close-ups of Dolph's face when he was reacting to something to be made smaller, and said they must put in extra close-ups of Berenger's face during the parts where they talked together. Berenger wanted the movie to feel like it was all about his character alone, with Dolph slowly disappearing into the background. That went past a line that Dolph could not possibly forgive. He finished recording his voice for the final movie, walked out of the studio building, and told his manager one sentence that summed up everything he was feeling. "If Berenger signs up for a movie, I am just not interested in doing it." He has never, ever broken that very strict rule since that day. Brian Thompson, the quiet enemy who turned a movie part into lots of bad feelings. The very last name on Dolph Lundgren's list of people he won't work with is Brian Thompson. And this problem started with something much quieter and way more annoying than anything else. Years and years of sneaky little comments, compliments that were actually mean, and a way of being rude that never felt like a mistake. Their bad feelings go all the way back to the time of Rocky IV. While Dolph was suddenly becoming a huge star as Ivan Drago, Thompson was telling people who hired actors that he had also been considered for that big role and would have made the character more interesting and deep. At first, Dolph just ignored it and thought it was just normal movie talk, but Thompson did not stop at all. Over the years, any time they saw each other at big events, Thompson would slip in small, mean little jokes. At one party for movie people, after everyone was talking about famous bad guys, he casually said right where Dolph could hear him, "Some roles are just written very boring. The actor can only do so much with the part." Everyone knew exactly who he was talking about. It was very silly and small time, but it was the kind of silliness that gets under your skin and makes you angry over time. Things got even worse during a meeting to read the script for an action movie in the early 90s. Thompson argued about every line he felt made him look less tough than the character Dolph was playing. During a practice for the scene, after stopping Dolph twice to argue about where they should stand, he smirked and said, "Let's make sure this doesn't look like a muscle contest." That sentence hurt Dolph's feelings way more than a real punch ever could have. The final thing that made Dolph decide came at a fan convention in Las Vegas sometime in the 2010s. During a time when fans could ask questions, Thompson made fun of the famous "I must break you" line, telling the crowd, "I would have said it with actual feelings and emotion." The audience all laughed loudly. Dolph heard about it all within just a few minutes. He skipped the panel he was supposed to be on that afternoon and signed things for fans quietly by himself instead, something he had absolutely never done before that day. From that moment on, Dolph didn't yell at Thompson. He simply pretended he didn't exist and would never work with him. This fight never made the big headlines in the newspaper, but it's the one that Dolph keeps the quietest and holds onto the longest. So out of those 5 big movie star names, which one surprised you the most when you heard about it? And do you think Dolph was right to just cut them all off for good and never talk to them again? Let me know all of your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. And if you want to see more movie secrets and bad fights that people don't talk about, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. There is a lot more good stuff coming up next.